The immediate reaction, dismay, anger, directed at both Sheet and Tube and the federal government. Steelworkers staged a well-publicized march to present petitions to President Carter. They didn't see him. They wound up marching on Capitol Hill, but Carter eventually named a special task force, which came up with some recommendations to help the steel industry as a whole, particularly in fighting foreign imports. And the feds have opened their coffers for specific projects in the valley.
But basically, it fell to the valley to solve its own problems, the problems caused by the now quiet furnaces at Sheet and Tube. And the initial reaction seemed to be form a committee. Committee after committee was formed, coalition after coalition. It seemed as if the politicians were playing games, jockeying for position, each one trying to outdo the other in getting credit for something positive. And nothing much positive was being done. One local leader finally spoke out.
I personally am getting aggravated, disappointed. I realize that it can't happen overnight, but I think after 7 weeks that something should be happening.
And then another bombshell from Sheet and Tube. On November 4th, its parent, Likes, announced it wanted to merge its operations with LTV, the owner of Jones & Laughlin. The two firms said neither could exist without joining together, and LTV promises that there will be no further layoffs in the valley for at least 18 months if the merger goes through. But the steelworkers are fighting the merger. They fear that even more jobs would be lost if it does go through.
By year's end, the first faint ray of hope. What some had considered merely a pipe dream, a community takeover of the Camel Works, suddenly was given validity.
Camel Works can be acquired, put back into operation, and we think ultimately turn a profit. That means putting about 2,000 people back to work by the end of the next calendar year and adding an additional 1,500 employees as quickly thereafter as possible.
Sullivan announced formation of a private firm, Mahoning Steel Company, to be the vehicle for the takeover, but Sullivan was upstaged. Congressman Carney engineered formation of still another committee, called the Ecumenical Coalition, to lead the takeover bid.
The takeover could cost hundreds of millions of dollars. But there is one man, Albert Calderon, a Cleveland inventor, who says he'd like to put up at least $1 million of his own money so he could put a new type steelmaking furnace into the shutdown portion at Sheet and Tube. Consultants are now working on specifics for a buyout plan. And another group, the Mahoning Valley Economic Development Commission, has a consultant working on a plan to attract something besides steel-related industries to the valley. So at this point, 6 months after the Sheet and Tube shutdown announcement, the consultants have the center stage. The valley itself seems to be in a holding pattern, waiting to see if the consultants can come up with plans to get more jobs into the valley before more jobs are lost. The real impact of the Sheet and Tube shutdown has not yet been felt. And next week on Newswatch, Jen Hopkins is going to take a look ahead at what that impact may be and whether any of the plans now being considered will really work. For Newswatch 27, I'm Joe Gillis.